Okay. Hi everybody, welcome to For His Name's Sake, and today, well, it's just kind of a snowy day here in Texas. It's cold, kind of dusting of snow everywhere, and so I thought it would be a good time to sit around the old campfire here, and we don't have a campfire, we're in a truck, but yeah, and talk about something we've been meaning to talk about but been putting it off. Well, I'm going to give you all the backstory of how we got in this situation in the first place. We used to live in a city about an hour away or so, and I had a good job, paid our bills, well, most of the bills, and been there for about 16 years. But like I said, we didn't pay for most of our bills, so we were, I guess, not using, but my mother was helping us financially to make ends meet, as far as what my job didn't pay for, and that went on for enough time where we got tired of it and felt that God is saying, y'all need to move and start over, and that way you can, somewhere where you can, just rely on God for everything. And so I quit my job, and we put our house on the market, and that house sold really quick, and so we had to find a house quickly. So we just prayed, and God said basically go in this direction, and well, lo and behold, we found a house in this direction, and so that's where we wound up at our new home, and in a little town about an hour and so away from where we used to live. And it was a house that couldn't really afford, but we could afford if I just got a job to pay for it. So I looked and looked and looked and looked and spent out, I don't know how many resumes and applications, must over 100.
All of us looked for home. All of us were looking for jobs in the beginning, but we couldn't get jobs.
Yes, and no matter where I looked, it's like no, and well, eventually it's like, okay, what I guess God doesn't want me to get a job, so what are we going to do now? Well, we had some extra money from my 401k, and so we used that to make ends meet while we tried to get a candle business and soap business going. And so we spent money into that and got a website up and got an online store going, and we made some sales, but it was never enough to live on, so we had to give that up. And then it was like, but don't forget, we have the mortgage to pay. We could make ends meet with just regular bills, but the mortgage is the main thing. And so we kept, we made a deal with our mortgage company to, they have plans for things like this when you can't pay. They don't want to foreclose, but so they try to, if you can get a job, they'll help you to forego the payments until a later date, and then you can start making payments again. And so we did that, and I still couldn't get a job, and then I got a little job, but made it prolong a little more, but it was never enough to pay for anything. And so eventually, they were going to have to foreclose, and that was in June of last year, 2024, and so here comes June. But all the while before June, health-wise, we were stressed out like crazy. It was no fun. It was like money was kind of scarce, and we had bills, all these bills to pay. Electricity. We had security on the house. We had water, food,
internet,
all these bills, and didn't really have the money to pay for all of it. And so here comes June in foreclosure, and they sold. They put the house on the market and sold it.
Oh, and we did forget to mention that we did put up our house for sale, actually.
Yes.
And went through a realtor, had it up for sale for, I think it was about 9 months, actually. And there were several people that were interested, and we actually had a contract, I think, twice with the same people, but it just fell through both times.
Right.
And so we never could sell it. It just wasn't the right fit, and we had the price go down a couple of times, and it just didn't work out. They pulled out at the last minute and had some other excuse as to why they couldn't buy the house. So that's why we did try to sell it, but we couldn't. And something we didn't, just kind of back rewind a little bit, that when we came to this new home in this new town that we're in right now, when we came to look at it, just to walk inside and look at it, it's a gorgeous home, brand new, had just been built. And God told me, I know it's God, a voice whispering in my ears saying, even if you get this home, it's only going to be temporary. And then, sure enough, when we got it with the mortgage, we couldn't have bought it otherwise. We did get some money from the sale of our previous house, but it wasn't enough. This new home was a whole lot more, and so we needed the extra money. Therefore, that's why we got the mortgage, to help pay for the house. And then when we moved in that very first day, we're all excited and we're praising God and saying, thank you, God, for giving us this gorgeous home. It's just so beautiful. It's like a king's palace. This is just so beautiful. And we're thanking the Lord right there in the center of the living room. I'll never forget. And right after that, God's voice came again and said, remember, Martina, this is only temporary. You're only going to be in this house for just temporarily. And I thought, to me, temporary means several months. Well, I didn't know that temporary meant almost 2 years later. So I just thought I'd mention that right away. So yeah, so now going back to where we were, which is last year, June of 2024, was when we were, the house was auctioned off. They did get, the mortgage company told us ahead of time. They gave us a month's kind of a notice. Just want to let you know that on so-and-so date, I think it was June 7th to be exact. That's what it was. June 7, 2024, your house will be auctioned off. And so they didn't tell us anything else as to what we needed to do. I did get on the phone and say, what do we need to do? And they said, well, you just need to be out of the house by the time the auction happens, or that afternoon. And we didn't want to linger on anymore. So we went ahead and put what we could in storage. And the rest we took with us in our truck that we're in right now. And we knew that first night that we would be homeless indefinitely. We had no idea how long this was going to be, but we knew that we were going into it homeless because we kept praying that somebody would take us in. There were several people that wanted to take us in, but they were in that town that we just came from, and we were just trying to get out of there, so we didn't want to stay anywhere there. And there were some people that were out of state, but by this time our younger daughter, that's another thing we forgot to mention. Our younger daughter, she kept having this mentality of, I don't want to be homeless. We're not going to be homeless. So while y'all are doing your candle and soap business and thinking that's going to get somewhere, I'm going to get a job. And we're going to pay these bills, and we're going to pay this mortgage, because I refuse to be homeless. She did get a job that second time. The first year she didn't get a job, but she did get one the following year, and it did help pay for the bills. And a part of me just... Go ahead.
I guess partial. It was a part-time job.
Yeah, part-time job. So it helped for...
Yeah.
It did help for the bills, though, I think. It mainly... That's pretty much... The poor thing, I mean, that most of her paycheck, she didn't get to keep any of that for herself except for some gasoline money, because she did have a car and she was driving that. And just maybe a little bit extra just for herself, but it wasn't a whole lot. Most of it went right back into the bills. And so this part of me, just personally, I felt like kind of bad that she was having to fork over the money, but the rest of us couldn't get jobs. So that was frustrating, because we wanted to help out, but we couldn't. But she got the job.
And so to help out some more, my dad did go through a workforce center where they try to help you get jobs through the government, and you can get a food stamp and all. But that was extremely stressful, because you have to write in a log, you have to apply like 50 times. And while the food stamp was nice, the stress wasn't. So we just didn't do that anymore. And food was dwindling down because, like we said, all my sister's money basically went to our skyrocketing bills. I think that's the highest bills we've ever had, even in the other house.
Yeah.
And so we went to food pantries, which we talked about that in a previous homeless video. You could check that on the playlist. But food pantries around here, they really don't give you a whole lot. The food is either old or frozen. Mm-hmm. It's just not, I don't know what the word is, but
most of it was old.
Yeah.
That was the terrible thing about it. Even like fresh meats that we wanted to, when we had the home, we couldn't even cook. We had to throw away. We felt guilty for throwing it away, but they were just old.
Well, it may not be old all the time, but
Not all the time.
But it's been in the freezer too long.
Yeah.
Freezer burn and
Yes.
I don't know what else, but
And I did have,
you know.
and we talked about this before, I did have a sweet friend in her church. Their food pantry helped us out canned goods, so that was a blessing.
Yeah, that lasted for several weeks actually. We made it last as long as we could. We did learn to save a lot, saying like be careful with toilet paper, be careful with how much paper towels you use, be careful on how much food you're using, you as in us. And so we did learn about that, how to conserve and preserve, or whatever you want to call it, and making things last a lot longer than we did before. So that there was a benefit on that one. And then so I guess we're getting back to now.
Now the foreclosure happened,
Right.
and we still don't, by this time they haven't given us the money. You have to wait several months before all of the bank stuff and before you get that surplus money. So we were still only living on my sister's and I think by this time my brother's income.
Yeah.
But it didn't, we were still paying off debt from the old bills that had accumulated.
Yeah, exactly. Plus we had a, when the money finally did come in,
Months later.
months later, then we had to pay off all of our outstanding debts. We've got, you can go back to the old videos to find out all that. I mean, $5,000 credit card debt. Don't ever get a credit card. We learned our lesson. Don't do that. Like a major credit card.
Unless you're wise with your money and such.
Right.
But not us.
But nobody can tell the future. Nobody knows if you're going to lose your home or what's going to happen in life. So it's probably better just to have a debit card. That way the money is in the bank and you know you have it. Rather than getting a major credit card and thinking, oh, I'll pay this back later. Well, nobody knows what later is going to happen. So that's just our lesson that we learned. Don't do it. Just don't do it. And so getting back to this video, we had to give you a recap for those of you who are joining us for the first time and you have not been keeping up with what's been going on. And so we had to kind of give you a recap of why we are homeless today. But the main title of this video is why becoming homeless was the best thing that happened to us. So we're going to go into that right now and tell you why it is the best thing for us. Who wants to go first?
Did we tell them how long we've been homeless already?
Well, we've been homeless now since June 7 of 2024, and it is now February 18 today. So it's been a little bit over 8 months that we've been homeless now in the new city that we're in right now. Now since we're not going to tell you where we're at really per se, but we're kind of in another city away from where the house was, the new fancy home that we had to give up. We're in a different area just because basically for the first 2 weeks we were kind of sleeping in our truck, kind of just about 2 or 3 blocks away from our other home there that had the auction that was foreclosed on. But the police asked us to move. They told us we could not sleep in the neighborhood like that. That's illegal, and they told us to go to another place, to a public place, and we didn't feel comfortable sleeping at the post office. There were strange people hanging out there at night. So then we went to the next town, and so that's where we're at right now. We're in the next town over, which we're not going to disclose that information because we're not supposed to disclose that sort of information as to which town we're living in.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're in this town and we've pretty much gotten rid of all of our debts. You know, we still have a doctor bill lingering around, but that's about it. And so right now, all we're paying monthly is, you know, food and gas for the big vehicle. We have insurance on the vehicle, And once a year we have our registration for the vehicle. That it?
Cell phone bill.
Yeah, we have a cell phone.
That's probably the highest because we're paying for four people that have cell phones. We're a family of 5 living together, but our son chose not to have a cell phone, and so we just have 4 phones that we're paying for. But it's one of the more expensive cell phone companies out there, but it's also a very good one. I mean, it gives you what's the word I'm looking for?
So right now, we have unlimited cellular texting, everything. So it's a good plan.
Yeah, signal, that's what I meant. Like you can be out in the boonies and you can still get a good signal for the most part. Yeah, so and we've been customers with them for 15 plus years, so and we know how they work their system and how they do their billing and everything, and we just don't like to change. Just stick with what we can stick with right now.
Yeah, we're in very good standing with them. So that's good.
Yep. So and then we got so we got phone bill, we've got the insurance on the car, on the truck. And that's the other thing. And if you go back to our old videos, you'll know that our daughter, who's got the job, had a car wreck and totaled her. It was basically not totaled, but the insurance company wasn't going to pay for the damages, so to speak. It would be like buying a new car, and so that had to go to the yard where they impound the car and all that stuff and be taken away. So that's why she had to come and live with us in this truck, even though she was looking forward to living on her own in her own car, which she was for about a day or two, and then that was it. So so
we're also paying for storage.
Yeah, we are paying for storage, but that was our son's paycheck that he was paying for that, and the gym where we work out at, or take showers at rather. But he has decided that he's not, and we're not here to talk bad about him. This is just something that he's been wanting to do for some time, and we knew it was coming. And so this last week he said he was not going to help support us anymore financially for the storage buildings. We had 2 storage rooms. One is climate control for more like our furniture, and then there was one for outdoor, which is more for lawn mowers and things like that, outdoor grill types things. So we have 2 storage units. One is more expensive than the other, of course, and then we have the gym that we take showers at, and so he was paying for that, and so he's pulled out. So now we're on our own on that one, and then we just decided that it would be only fair to let our younger daughter go as well, so that she would not need to support us either financially anymore either. So if you're wondering, well, how are we going to support ourselves? Well, by the grace of God and by the provisions of God. And we do have some of that surplus money left over from the auction of our house, but we just feel like right now we're not really supposed to touch that for ourselves, and until prompted by God otherwise. And besides, we can't move right now because my husband is still chauffeuring the 2 kids that are working, my son and my our younger daughter, our son and younger daughter. And so as long as we're still chauffeuring them, we're just gonna let things lie and just continue to stay in the situation that we're in right now. We don't feel called or prompted to purchase anything, and housing is very expensive, as y'all know. It's at ridiculous prices. We can't even think about getting a home right now. We don't have the money for that. We barely have the money for a camper. People have suggested RVs and campers. Those things are expensive, and we can't rent. We don't want to rent, actually. That is one of the pros of being homeless. No need to worry about paying a lease or a rent. We've been there before. We've lived in apartments. We've lived in homes where we had landlords. They just pop up all of a sudden, say, I need you out in about a month. We don't have to worry about that. We don't have to worry about lease, rents, mortgages. Those are the pros of being homeless. Now I'm going to let some other people talk because I've been rambling on here. I'm sorry.
Yes. And the other part about being homeless is, if you recall, I said when we had the house, the stress level was outrageous. I was getting stomach problems. Martina was, in that feeling well too, and it was just like
we were depressed. I think all of us were depressed.
Yeah, we were just going through depression, stress, all kinds of stuff. And now that we're homeless, we're free from that. I haven't, homelessness has its own stresses, but they pale compared to what we were going through. So yeah, if we didn't have the pickup, to live in, that would be a different situation. But we do have that by the grace of God, and so yeah, it's someone told us out. Yeah, we're living by faith. Yeah, we're trying our best to live by faith, and that includes just faith involves letting God protect us, letting God supply our needs, allowing God to just do everything for us, and when we have this, the ministry here, for His name's sake, I don't think we got that by accident, that name. The ministry is for His name's sake. Our channel is for His glory and for His honor, and and that's part of the living by faith.
Yeah, exactly. And I forgot to mention, or I failed to mention a while ago about the surplus funds. We're not living off of that per se just yet. I mean, we're going to have to, now that our son is pulled out and we've let our other daughter start to raise her own money for her. She wants to get an apartment. She wants to be on her own, and she wants to get a used car. So we're going to use some of that money for that. But me personally, I don't even feel like we're supposed to give her that. But she's about to go, I don't know, bonkers, because this homeless situation is not a good situation for her. She has not liked it from the beginning. Valentine's, she should share about how it's been for her, because in the beginning you weren't all excited about this either, but you've changed. God has worked in you. You want to share about that?
I would say from the beginning, He was already teaching me about thankfulness. I've mentioned this before. Just knowing that He takes care of us. And yeah, the first few months, the first month or two after the homeless stuff, when we didn't have the surplus money yet, and we were still paying off the bills. So going out to eat, because that's all you could do when you were homeless. We didn't have a burner at that time. So it was pretty slim. My stomach was growling again. I hate that feeling, because I'm a person who gets nauseous if I don't eat. So yeah, that part was rough. But yet we were still able to eat, even if it wasn't enough. And God protected us in the parking lots with the wild teenagers that we already mentioned them. They're high on something here. So yeah, there was good and bad that I've learned. And yeah, I'm only human. There are a lot of things I miss. I do miss having a kitchen to cook in, especially since I was liking to cook. And I wanted to grow a garden one day. I was wanting to do that. But until then, I guess there's still more to learn and still more to be thankful for, especially this winter, where it's cold and windy and it's snowing, and there are homeless people out there, especially men, who don't have a vehicle to stay in to protect themselves from the wind.
Yeah. And we wish we could help them, but we're a family of 5 and we don't have any more room to put them in. But I feel so sorry for them. I just wish some good Samaritan would come along and at least give them a shed to get them out of the wind. It's very windy today, it's even colder. And then we were talking to a man yesterday, and he said he was homeless at one time, and he was living behind a trash can trying to get out of the wind. But the wind would come from either side and kind of nick him, kind of like, I don't know how these people do it. I'm surprised he didn't die of hypothermia. Goodness me. So yeah, we are thankful that we do have a roof over our head and wheels that can take us places where there's people that are a lot worse than we are. And we don't know how we would be talking if we were in that situation. But from what we have now, I know that I can personally say that I'm very thankful that I have my whole family with me. I'm very grateful to God for that. And a lot of times I'll say, oh, isn't this cozy in the truck? And we can get all cozy in the cold. And well, a couple of the kids are not all they're like, no, it's not cozy. It'd be a whole lot cozier if we were in a nice home somewhere, and cozy in my own room, in my own bed, and with my blankets and my heater on. And so we all have differing views about that, but I just, me personally, I've been enjoying this family time together, and God has just given me an enormous amount of peace, other than at night when like the teenagers would harass us, and then sometimes at night still there's some interesting people that just kind of roam around in circles and around the parking lot, and I just wonder, what are they up to really? What are they must be checking us out. And so then that's when I kind of pray really hard, Lord, I pray they're not going to come and hurt us. Please, Lord, I don't want anybody hurting us. So those are there's a lot of cons, of course, to homelessness, but like my husband was saying, the pros, and there's not a whole lot of pros, but it's just the magnitude. There we go. The magnitude of the pros outweighs a whole bunch of the cons, if that makes any sense. So God has really given us overall, I'd say, peace.
Yes.
Over this. And it is liberating not having all these bills and not having a landlord pop up all of a sudden and say, well, I need you out in about a month. We've been through that. And worse, we had a landlord actually in the house. I know they're probably not allowed to do that, but they were in the house. I came home from work one day and there was a man standing in the kitchen. It scared me half to death, and then I got into the light, and it was my landlord. How awful. I mean, there's all kinds of weirdos out there. So, yeah. So those, I think we pretty much touched up on everything, but we just wanted to share with you why homelessness is the best thing for us
Yes.
mentally, and on more ways than one. Wow. Yeah. So anyway, we're just trusting in God to supply all our needs. He has supplied all our needs, and
Yes.
and we are thankful for the people that donate on the channel through the GoFundMe. And this is not and in no way is this a kind of an advertisement or to make people feel guilty. We're not doing this so that people would give us more money for GoFundMe. That's all between you and God. If you want to give money, that has to be a prompting from the Holy Spirit asking you to give money. Please don't give any money out of obligation or, oh wow, the poor souls, they're homeless, they need some money. No, that's between you and God, and we are grateful for the donations that we have received. Very, very grateful. I can't. The words are not. There's no words to convey how grateful we are for those donations when they come in.
Right, and it's
Yeah.
the same thing goes with our monetization of our channel.
Right.
I mean, it's
Well, we haven't gotten any. We're not getting any money for that.
no, we haven't gotten a payment yet because if you don't know, in order to get a payment, your monetization has to reach $100, of money. And then YouTube will send you a check. Yeah, but we haven't gotten that far yet, so we haven't gotten any money.
Right.
But we do have 4 members, and you know who you guys are. But I mean, we're not relying on that either for our living expenses or anything, And so,
But we are grateful to you, so we do thank you for
yes,
joining.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you want to, just look at any pretty much description of our video, and you can find the membership information. Or if you're on a laptop or something, there's a join button to push, and you can find out more about it then. But I mean, it's it's more a way to help the channel grow, and it helps us out a little bit too. But but we're really trusting in God to meet our needs. Whether that's through that but it's through you and God. If you want to help us out, it's just between you and God. We're not asking for anything.
Yes. In fact, I think we're about to run out of time, aren't we? This is your cue, isn't it?
What's the minute?
I think it's on 25. It's right on 29, actually. Yeah.
Oh, I think it's going to end actually this very second. We might have to do a separate video saying goodbye.
Like, subscribe, and
we're going to have time for that.
all right.